by the guests and presenters of Radio Al Ansar are not necessarily the views and opinions of Radio Al Ansar and the Al Ansar Foundation.
The Breakfast Rush, brought to you courtesy of the Willow Tin Group, at the forefront of innovation, and one of the leading competitors in the South African FMCG market.
It is CBR. It's coming up for 7:14 this morning. If you've just joined us on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Instagram, hello. Welcome to the video. And if you've just joined us in the car, hopefully you're not sitting in traffic on the N2, but Assalamu alaikum to you as well. Now, the city of Durban has recently received a government directive that requires the metro to reduce its water consumption by 8.4% over the next 12 months, commencing on October 10th. The city has not disclosed its latest water loss statistics, but last year, eThekwini's non-revenue loss or non-revenue water losses stood at a staggering 56% compared to less than 33% 10 years ago. This figure refers to water revenue lost from a variety of causes, including leaking municipal pipes, non-payment, theft, or metering errors. And if we consider that the planet is facing an unprecedented water crisis with global freshwater demand predicted to exceed supply by 40% by 2030. Now, joining us this morning, as I'd mentioned earlier, Marketing Director at Interwaste, Kate Stubbs. Welcome back to the Breakfast Rush and good morning to you.
Good morning and thank you. Good morning to you. Good morning.
Tell us, what is the current state of our water systems in South Africa?
Well, in general, our water systems are under severe pressure. I think you've mentioned South Africa is a water scarce country already. And there's a estimated global shortage of 40% by 2030. In South Africa, we estimate that there will be a supply and demand deficit by 15% by 2030. So we're already in a water scarce situation. And I think that statistic you mentioned for Durban is severe in terms of water loss, water leakage, over 56% lost in the system. But around the country in general, if you look at the latest statistics from the Department of Water and Sanitation, they have the green drop, blue drop, and no drop reports. And unfortunately, the information is not good. Over the last 10 years, we've seen a severe decline in water quality in our wastewater systems. And then in terms of leakage, in the no drop report, that overall we have a high rate of leakage across all our systems, which in effect is criminal. Water is life. It is a limited resource. We cannot just create it from nothing. And so urgent action needs to take place across the country to preserve and conserve our water resources.
Can wastewater management play a role in remedying the situation?
Absolutely. So there's opportunity. I think one of the actions that we need to do is look at diversifying our water mix and reusing our wastewater. And that may sound a bit unsavory to some, but wastewater can be reused across the board. You know, our agricultural sector uses 70% of our water. There are lots of technologies and systems and processes to retreat and clean wastewater to clean standards and even to potable standards. So in different countries around the world, for instance, in Israel, 90% of their water, their irrigation is used from wastewater. In Singapore, they treat a lot of wastewater for potable consumption. So that is something that as a country we need to do to not only put less burden on our freshwater systems, but also to be compliant and prevent liquid waste pollution into our already stressed systems. So there's a huge opportunity for us to be more focused and more compliant about how we manage our wastewater.
Indeed. Kate, as a final question for this morning, government has issued a directive that requires the metro here to reduce its consumption by 8.4% over the next 12 months. It's already commenced in certain areas in Durban, in eThekwini. What are some of the other solutions that need to be implemented to curb this current situation?
Unfortunately, they require all of us to change our behavior, and it requires accountability from every one of us. It's quite simple. As with waste, with water, the first action is to prevent water loss. reduce your consumption. In Durbs at the moment, your consumption is 281 liters per day per person. The global average is 173 liters. So if everyone could just be much more mindful of their consumption, so start with reducing your water consumption. You can put slow flow taps. There's different types of technologies you can do, but basic practices. Cleaning your car with fresh water, maybe not flushing your loo so many times, shorter showers, shorter baths. Just being that much more mindful has an enormous impact. And let's not wait for crisis. I think we all know that it's very uncomfortable to not be able to turn on that tap or have access to clean water. So I think the first part starts with consumption, reduce it, and just be much more aware about how we preserve our water and fix our taps, report leaks. There's some really basic steps that we all need to take.
Absolutely. I want to thank you for your time this morning and your insight into the subject. Have a wonderful day going forward.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye now. That was Marketing Director at Interwaste, Kate Stubbs, basically saying it starts with you and I. That's where it begins. It starts right there. Shorter showers. Is it necessary to have a shower that runs for an hour? I mean, what are you doing? Are you washing one strand of hair at a time? It's like, come here, shampoo, rinse, conditioner, rinse, conditioner again, rinse. Okay, next. Now, come on now. That's a little bit ridiculous.
It's the simple things, like not letting taps drip. And I can actually count how many times I've seen that in a day on like two hands. I think if I had an additional two, I'd use those two as well.
Can you sleep through that noise?
I can't.
All night.
But it happens everywhere. You walk into a bathroom,
Yeah.
a public bathroom, a classroom.
Just all night, like just go.
And there's water leaking.
And you sleep it. It's horrible to wake up one day, go to the tap, turn the faucet. Nothing. Nothing. It's horrible. So let's not get to that day. Let's do our bit. I know. We're going to take a huge chunk and put it on municipality and say, but you didn't fix all of the leaks. You didn't do this and you didn't do this and you didn't do. We know they didn't. Even they know they did it. Right? They know they didn't before you knew they didn't. Let's put it that way. Let's do what we're supposed to do to preserve a resource that you and I need to survive.
The Breakfast Rush, brought to you